Thunder! 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 Thundercats! Ho!
Welcome back, Bunglers, to another episode of the Thundercats Reviews, brought to you by the Radical Retro Rewind Podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with everyone's favorite brother, David, for another 2 episodes of Thundercat. David, hello, and ho, ho, ho.
Hello, everybody.
So, let's get right into some mail.
My source tells me maybe your source.
She even looks older.
How dare you say that to me?
I didn't think Lionel was like that.
I tell you it's true. The information comes from my best source. There's another thing. According to my source,
I did it for the money.
and I paid the money. Are you sure your source is on our side?
You got
Thundercats.
mail.
And keep your foot off that blasted Sommoflang.
Okay, so we have 2 lovely bunglers today, and they're regulars around here, David. Let's start with Mitesh. So, Mitesh says, hello, my retro brothers. Thank you again for another 2 great episodes. I don't know what you mean about bungling the last episode, because all your Thundercats reviews are amazing and sweet, and all of your pronunciations are perfect, Ryan.
You didn't say that, right?
I know! Pronunciation.
Okay, let's not ruin this beautiful moment. Go ahead, keep going.
The Rock Giant is one of my favorite episodes. Just the Colossus element of nature versus the Thundercats is such an unfathomable concept, but they made it look great. We are now seeing the 3 episodes giving our mutant brethren their own episode. Monkeyman, Jackalman, and Vultureman is coming up, but poor Slithe never gets his own attempted rise to power. Do you think it's because he never saw himself past that reptilian cook on Plundar?
It's almost implied, though, that he is the quote-unquote unofficial leader of the mutants. Even though they kind of scatter like cockroaches when anything comes up, they don't really support each other for the most part. Slithe has the most aggressive.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I know Monkey can be aggressive, beating his chest and going like ridiculous, like very much like an angry quote-unquote ape. But he's the most aggressive in his nature, the way he talks and everything. Like he is. I almost feel like the other mutants have some redeeming qualities in the sense of, if that makes any sense, like when Monkey said you're sexist. Jackalman's kind of very simple, if that's the word I can use.
Yes.
And Vultureman, really, Vulchi, the emancipation.
Vulchi is just a diva.
He's really more about technology, but Slithe really is just, he's a real snake, so to speak.
Unless when he's scared of Mumm-Ra, too. I love when that happens. You're asking me to go alone? How dare you? I asked my children who their favorite T-Cats were. And I love this, Mitesh. Thank you for sharing this. And why. My daughter Anya is Chitara from the 2011 show due to her intelligence and strength. My son Rowan's favorite is Snarf, due to him being kind, a caring mentor, but clearly the one who saves the day when the other Thundercats are trapped. Oh, I love that. My wife, Rakshar, didn't have an answer, but she always likes Panthro because she says it's always handy to have a mechanic around, and he has those awesome nunchucks. That is why he is my favorite, equal to Snarf. Sorry, I mean Uncle Osbert. I love that. I can't wait for next month. You will be reviewing one of my top favorite episodes, Turmagar the Tuska. Great action journey because of the great music. A must-see for all T-Cats fan. P.S. Who calls David a hoe? Lots of love, Mitesh and family.
Oh, thank you guys so much. That was awesome. I'm really excited that they're enjoying it all and that they listen together and they watch together. I think that's great.
Every time I see a message pop up from Mitesh, as well as our next most beautiful bungler, our lovely Leah, who helps us so much by sending sound clips of the episodes and just being all around amazing and wonderful. Leah says, yay, first comment, ma creps, me creeps, me cracks up, me cheeks, me checks out the wonder of this brilliant episode. Something disturbs the calmness of the internet. This awesome podcast. Oh, the wonder. My thoughtfulness is. You named my favorite podcast Nessie? Laughing emoji. It's a monster of a podcast at over an hour long. That's us. Wait until you experience the supernatural scariness of Mumm-Ra, king of commentaries on his pool vision. Pew,
So true.
Pew, pew. The mutants try and try again. It's not butter, it's Mumm-Ra, the ever stupid, and the ever bungler. Transform just to dress up in drag, to do the hula. Know this quote? Hee hee. Where does that come from? Go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to count you, but
I have not been known to hula, David. That's one thing I've never done well, or yet.
stick to what you know.
Leah, let us know, please, because our radical retro minds are not working clearly. Jaga is finally clearer on his message to Lion-O. Always had issues with him not being clear. This was fire and water. Fire and water.
It's so true. Just tell him. Just tell him straight out.
Thundercats sauna ideas? Anyone? Oh, hot springs. A sauna under Cat's Lair would probably be beautiful. Lion-O, model of awesome. Felinity. Felinity? Felinity.
Valinity.
Bunglers Ho. General Jackalman. Surprisingly intelligent. Underdogs. Oh dear. Whip crack on repeat. So David, on our Mole Master episode, when every time you mentioned Mole Master, I added a whip sound effect after. So, because I know you love Mole Master in his dominatrix. So Mole Master.
Some of the stuff I have to say, where do they come up with these things?
Radical Ryan with delightful David. UFO, unidentified frying object. That's Jackalman when the other mutants get their hands on him. This is at the end when they start beating him they're eating at the table and then they just start attacking him.
I guess he's being voted off the island.
Chitara is fabulous. Thundercats Ho, another brilliant and very enjoyable episode. The perfect thing for a Friday night. See you on your next podcast. Thank you both. You all mean so much to us. Everyone who listens, as always. I know we're a broken record with that, but we just love you guys. So thank you.
And thank you for sharing.
So, our first episode, David, is Turmagar the Tuska, episode 45, with the original air date of November 22nd of 1985. It says, Turmagar the Tuska, a walrus-like humanoid, crash lands his gumpling, and I gotta get into that later, at the cat's lair and asks for help. A giant Technopede threatens his country's water supply, leaving Panthro and the Thunder Kittens behind to repair the Gumplin. David, we start with this giant, and I thought he said, "That is a dumpling, sir," to Panthro, but he is a Gumpling. I do love that the Thunder Kittens say to Panthro, "He doesn't look like he's a threat. Let him in." So
He doesn't seem hostile, Tygra.
Looks like he's trying to land. Okay, cut the alarms.
we start right off with that, riding his trusty steed, the Gumplin. Turmagar, leader of the Tuskas, makes his way towards Cat's Lair. His arrival triggers the intruder alarms inside the lair, prompting the Thundercats to rush outside just in time to see the Turmagar making a crash landing. Is he drunk? Is he being attacked? What? Let's get to the bottom of this.
A few things I really noticed about this episode. I don't know because we really haven't told the whole storyline at this moment, but the first thing that I drew from it was, yes, that they went on appearances and said that this person, they don't seem to mean us any harm, which is funny because the next episode that we're going to review, together is things aren't always what they seem. When you look at something, then it might look innocent. So there was that. I actually found it really interesting interesting that we are seeing more of Third Earth that we didn't know existed, and even at the end, a pleasant place.
Oh my god, it was a stream with a rainbow. Like, it looked like it was a permanent fixture there. Like, this is the side of Third Earth, David, that
This is where the My Little Ponies live still. This is where the Care Bears doing their Care Bear stare.
They find the source of the river, so I guess all this time they were just, bathing in it, in its remnants with the warrior maiden. Now they found the source of it, so upriver is where it's at. Tomagar is adorable, David. I'm a sucker for animals.
Yeah,
so, big walrus that talks and rides a dragon robot. What was that, David? It was like half machine, half animal.
Well, I feel like the machine part was affixed to him. I don't think it was part of his natural DNA. I don't you know what I mean? Like, I think it was affixed to him. I think they were just like trained. Because that's what he does say, something to the effect of, doesn't he say the Gumplins were basically like domesticated, like our dogs?
His ancestors, he said, yeah, they're a gentle breed that were domesticated by his, because Panther goes, this creature? And he's like, that, sir, is a Gumpling. He really did love his little thing, so I loved that.
Who are you?
I am Turmagar the Tuska.
Why are you here?
I need your help.
What can we do?
My people cannot live without water, but our water sources in Tuscania are under constant attack from a fearsome war machine, the giant Technopede.
You want us to eliminate this Technopede?
If you do not help us, rivers will dry up, fertile lands will turn to desert, crops will die, my people will not survive.
We'll help you, Turmagar. We'll smash the giant Technopede.
Take the Thunder Tank, Lionel. Sounds like you'll need it. I'll stay here and fix this monster.
That, sir, is not a monster. He is a Gumplin, loyal and brave. My ancestors domesticated Gumplins many centuries ago.
Well, Turmagar, whatever he is, I'll fix him up while my friends take care of your Technopede.
He has that almost like, and I've seen this before, and maybe I'm crazy. Wasn't there the talking walrus that ate all the clams in Alice in Wonderland? He scams all the clams and then he eats them. He's a walrus. He has a spectacle glass, and he's very so it's kind of like in that vein, I guess I would say.
Not Ren and Stimpy's walrus?
No.
Do you have any rubber walrus protectors? Call the police.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar. Is it in Disney's? Alice in Wonderland is one of those ones that...
Very trippy.
I watched once and I'm just like, I'd rather watch My Little Pony. Or The Little Mermaid.
So there's a few other things. So first of all, Tomagar knows of the Thundercats. So they are, again, this feeds into my whole theory, which I've talked about. The Thundercats are such a threat to Mumm-Ra because they are leveling the playing field. They are basically slowly but surely taking over Third Earth as far as creating bonds with people, like with the Mycrits, the warrior maidens, the Berbils, the brute men. They keep adding more people to their ranks of friends and allies, which is also making Third Earth a more peaceful place. And we know that Mumm-Ra only can survive when evil exists. There's always going to be evil on Third Earth, but I feel like, again, the less evil, the weaker Mumm-Ra is, or the weaker his hold is. So my point being with this whole big tirade that I'm going on is basically they know about the Thundercats and they're seeking out their help. So the word of the Thundercats has reached far regions which Thundercats have never been and don't even know exist, I guess, at this point, because they had to go deep into the bed of the river or whatever to get to there. So it was almost like, was it under? Like they had to go through? I don't know, but it was very interesting that the Thunder Tank had to be like its submarine mode and go for like a long distance of time to get to this area that was uncharted.
it also went down like a Hot Wheels ramp at one point, which we never saw in any other episodes, like off the cat's lair. So did you also notice, before we continue, I wrote why the long face to Lionel, but the art was very different in some places in this episode. I wonder if they had like a guest in, or they outsourced this to another studio close by, because things looked good. There was a lot of movement, but then, yeah, some characters, they looked elongated and a little different. So it was just a little something. The giant Technopede is a war machine. I wrote this much like the Plundarian war machine. I wrote Warbot that attacked. It almost looked exactly like the face of that, but this is a Technopede. It's wreaking havoc on the land of the Tuskas and the only water source, the cat source. Oh my god, David, the water source. The cats readily agree to help Turmagar, and while Panthro and the kittens remain behind to repair the Gomplin, the rest of the feline heroes take off in the Thunder Tank. As they make their way to the River of Despair, the cats encounter a number of obstacles and dangers, including a powerful underwater current, the ferocious Black Widow shark, and the vampire mermaid. So if there is one character that will be taken by hypnotic suggestion, drugs, maybe even a sign that points a certain direction. Tygra heads and balls.
Tygra controlled by vampire mermaid. That was part of my notes. Let's go back. So they first encounter this very powerful current, which also kind of goes into like how Third Earth is so volatile. Like, cause even like when Lionel was doing his anointment trials, how that wind from the thing was going to pull him in and rip him to shreds, basically. So you also have the Black Widow shark, half shark, half crustacean.
That gets around that thing.
Yeah, so you have that, but again, I like the fact that this is not just a straightforward, like, go to fight this war machine. You have to kind of get, again, part of the land. You know, you have to go through all of these other, I don't know how they do it, because I'd be exhausted. I know the Thunder Tank did most of the work with the stuff, but just having to go through that and then actually have to face the boss, you know, the boss level, like in a game. You have to go through like the little men. So yeah, the other thing that I really liked about this episode, you see that they do like as the Thundercats are going through this to get there, just to save the people there and to preserve the river, you see how they're being attacked by this war machine, right?
Yes.
And you see that I don't think they really have names. Two of Turmagar's,
no, they just
fellow soldiers or whatever, the people that inhabit this area are talking about they're outmatched. They don't have the power to take on this thing, but they can't give up because that's their code. They can't give up, like their loyalty, and they have to protect the water, which in itself, I actually wrote, it's like an environmental element to it where, like, again, you see, I feel like the early creepings in of the environmental movement. Like there is, and I have a point to this I'm going to get to a little bit later at the end of the episode.
The giant Technopede! I'm getting out of here!
No, we cannot desert our post. That would betray Turmagar's quest for help.
What can anyone do against the giant Technopede?
You see that there are these ties with people because they have these code of ethic, despite the fact that this world is nothing that you and I would ever possibly imagine. You know, Third Earth. I like the fact that there is these commonalities between the good people that they do have a code of ethics and morals that ultimately, I guess, brings them together. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm reading too much.
And the planet.
That's how I felt about it, and which is also a threat to Mumm-Ra's power. And that goes back to my whole thing about how he hates the Thundercats so much because of the fact that he is bringing people together, uniting them, and saying it's okay to actually have, you know, to be kinder and gentler, even though you're in this very volatile environment. Just my thought on that.
So true, because doesn't even Turmagar say the water must be protected? So it is very, you know, early, like you're saying early. It's pre-Captain Planet. Which we did last week.
I love Captain Planet.
I know.
You did that with Cadu.
Cadu, but God, David loves Captain Planet.
I got the lunchbox. I have to get it from under the stairs.
Coming soon.
Coming Coming soon to a theater near you. David's segment called "It Came from Under the Stairs." No more basement for you, Ryan.
And I still always think of Emma Roberts in Scream Queen saying that she's taking the salad bowl to pee under the stairs. That will not be happening.
So here's the thing, too. Growing up as kids, I don't know if you remember this, and I still do this. There's always this folklore about pirates. Like, my kids still watch, like, this kind of kinder, gentler, watered-down version of pirates that have these code of ethics, and they're friends, and they help each other, and this and that, which is totally different than the evil pirates that would sell their, would make you walk the plank and do all these horrible things. But
Captain Cracker.
Yeah, there is the element of that where you do get the sirens. So mermaids are also called sirens. For me, to differentiate, sirens are these evil mermaid-type creatures that are there to basically entrap humans and send them to their death, either falling off cliffs or drowning them or whatever they do. And so you have this, I think the makers of Thundercats loved using black hair and dark hair with light features, because all their even when Mumm-Ra turned into the Time Witch or whatever it was, and it's always this like Morticia Adams, slight black haired and very fair.
Willa too, right? Willa has dark hair and fair, so Chitara has to stand out as the only blonde David. That is in her contract.
She's got to be gold. She loves her gold. Apparently, and this is also something. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but I feel like Tygra should not be so susceptible to things of this nature because his power is the mind power, which when we do the trials, he's supposed to have saved up all his mind energy.
That's why he's like, I can't even think of my power because.
So he is the siren calls him, and which is ironic because it doesn't even affect Lion-O.
Again, why is Tygra
but that's maybe his weakness.
susceptible?
Everybody has a weakness, and every Thundercat has a weakness. Chitara's is apparently a gold sale at the Berbil Village.
I thought that was.
She's like, the Thundercat symbol. Can I just do a quick run over to the Berbils for that gold sale, and then still help Lion-O defeat Mumm-Ra? I'm fast, I'm fast. I can keep
she'll
my
get
top
there.
speed for 6 miles.
As everyone knows. So I think this is really well done, but I did ask myself, they get off because they hear the beautiful voice of the singing.
I didn't actually find that, but I found it a little bit like, you remember the Little Mermaid when what's his name? Scully? The bird starts going, it's trying to sing.
Scuttle. Yes, Scuttle.
I didn't find it very alluring. It wasn't Ariel.
No, it was not. And neither was the hair, as David mentioned. So it's a great premise because they hear this, but Turmagar, shouldn't he have said a little earlier?
Oh, that's the evil vampire mermaids of death. Whatever.
And you hear singing because they clearly said they stopped because they heard this.
It's getting lighter.
Snarf! Snarf! You mean we're there?
Not yet, my friend. We have yet to cross the dangerous, uncharted seas.
Stand by to surface.
Standing by.
Blow main ballast.
That strange singing's coming from the island. Let's take a look. A mermaid!
I have heard many legends concerning her hypnotic powers.
Snarf! Snarf! I don't think we should hang around here too long.
You're right. Hey, where's Tygra?
We have to stop him.
So he goes. Now, this is the other part that I didn't get. So, obviously, Turmagar doesn't say anything about it. Lion-O's not affected by it. And then you see Chitara, who starts to go. But she sees that this thing is turning into this, like, the hands are starting to claw, like, club up and claw. Why didn't she use her super speed and run over there and beat this one with a stick, this merfish woman? I would have been like, I would have been like, her super speed and get over there. She kind of was like, oh.
But how did she know? She knew to look because, like you're saying, the shot was all of a sudden they said, what is that? And you see Tygra's little Tygra feet just moving into the camera, moving away. And she knew all of a sudden, she's like, oh, I better go because he's easily susceptible. He sees something.
But then she catches up, she sees, and she throws her staff.
But did you love this? You know how you end on a cliffhanger before the commercial. So the first time Chitara says more subdued, but still Lynn Lipton's given something. She's like, Tygra, no!
Tygra, no!
You cut back to after the commercial, they redo the scene again and she played it up. Tygra, no!
Tygra, no!
So she really knew how to sell it on the second go of this. Give Lynn Lipton a second chance on a scene, and she will do it. But they get knocked into the water, correct? So how is Lion-O at one point able to do ho? He's trying to shock it without opening his mouth. But then other times,
ventriloquism.
Didn't you know the Thundercats are all skilled in this?
I mean, I could say how. But
it was really good. But then, okay, so that makes sense, right? That was actually pretty good. So, okay, I'll agree with that. But then he says ho again with his mouth open when he's attacking the sea cobra looking thing in the next scene. So that's a little cotton.
Well, is he blowing air out his mouth? So maybe he's doing it that way.
Listen, David, you know I can't swim, but there's no way that the two of them, including Tygra, just in his daze, just floating down lower and lower into the depths of the water, would have survived that long under. I mean, they were under there a long time. Unless the Thundercats have like extra lungs, they were floating down a while.
Now for Vampire Mermaid.
That was close. Thanks.
Let's hope that's the end of the whole fishy business.
I have to say, when we actually get away from all this and Tygra's back with us, this is beautiful shots of night. Again, and we always discuss this. One of our bunglers, Zach, also loves these night shots that Thundercats give us. And it was like a dark red sky, and you see Turmagar's warriors on the battlefield still, but they came out of the river, like David said. They traveled through the river, and we come to the Technopede.
Which in 80s cartoons is a very big thing. You have that with She-Ra. There's these things. Even Ford Prime ship almost looks like one of those type of like.
It does.
You had that stuff in He-Man. You had that stuff in Thundercats, Silverhawks. I mean, there's countless. Obviously, machines and humans, we go together, I guess.
It's like one of these. It didn't come from a mutant or anything, so it's weird that this thing just took it upon itself to attack.
Well, we don't really know the backstory. Maybe it's a living AI sort of a thing where it just likes destruction, or maybe it was sent. Who sent you?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me who sent you.
My city is in ruins. We are too late. The infernal Technopede has conquered my people. We can no longer protect the source of the river, and the lands will wither and die.
Hang in there, Turmagar. We'll straighten it out.
Don't give up now.
Not while the Thundercats are pulling with you.
Feel the magic, hear the roar. Thundercats are loose.
The Tuskas are losing ground. The Thundercats join in the attack, but fail to inflict any real damage onto the giant machine. However, the arrival of Panthro and the Thunder Kittens atop the Gumplin turn the tables around. The heroes then focus their attacks on the massive legs of the Technopede,
which I have to say,
Star Wars.
Yes, no, but absolutely. What I have to say is though, that was Wily Kid and Wily Cat's idea.
Yes, David, and they were seen actually pulling to this machine. Like this episode, every one of the Thundercats took down this warbot on a warfield.
Look at that thing! It's all legs!
Well, let's pull them out from under.
There was a time when Lion-O was suspended for quite a long time from the the shield claw and kind of like, I don't know if because the robot was moving so fast or like he couldn't propel himself back or get down, because you see Tygra like, I'll help you, and
I'm back to reality. They end up tackling, the behemoth falls down and explodes into pieces. And now, like we said, they have found the source of the water, and Turmagar says we must protect it, and they gained new friends. David.
There. It is to protect springs like this that you fought so gallantly.
Doesn't look like much, does it?
But without such natural resources, however insignificant they seem, life would not go on. We owe you more than we can say, Thundercats.
Special thanks to Wily Cat, Wily Kit, and Panthro.
Yes, you turned up just when we needed you.
How'd you do that anyway?
Once we'd fixed up the Gomplin, we left it to him.
Panthro figured he was a homing creature.
And he led us here.
And we should thank you, Turmagar, for bringing us to a new and valued corner of Third Earth, the source of the river.
So I also put something very, what I would say is profound, and something that is funny. So I'll start with the funny. I said Snarf is getting too friendly with that warm spring action, if you know what I mean. If you know, you know.
Oh,
those springs were popping up and he was loving himself up in there.
Oh.
So there's that. And then I also put, again, the environmental aspect of it, saying the spring may, Turmagar says that the spring may seem insignificant, but it brings light. Didn't he say something to that effect?
Yes, exactly.
So this is something, again, that's near and dear to my heart, especially growing up in that time, you know, and the kind of the beginning of the environmental movement. It brings up a valid point that even though something may seem so insignificant, to them, that was their whole thing. Without that water source, he said the planet would die, because basically this is probably the only fresh, really great water source that's not teeming with acid and everything else and every possible thing.
Yeah, that's so true.
This is what they do. These people are the protectors of. So I do feel bad because his whole village and town seemed like it was in ruin city, but it did teach a valuable lesson about preservation and talking about something that may seem insignificant, but is really an intricate part of your life or your well-being.
So, David, beautifully said. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I thought it had a little bit of everything, that traveling adventure, like you said, to the destinations, all the underwater battles, the shark, the vampire mermaid, all the cats doing something included in the battle, and the trivia. This episode shows a special ramp at Cat's Lair that the Thunder Tank takes off from. This ramp is never shown again in any episode. This episode marks the second time that Tygra is put in a hypnotic trance. This episode also introduces a host of new characters, including major characters like Turmagar, Gomplin, Technopede, Tuskas, and minor characters like the vampire mermaid and the fish-eating flower. To our next episode, David.
Dun 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 dun.
Mutant Fist Pounder, a new and evil force to challenge the Thunder Tank.
We're ready for you.
That's what you think.
Who will win this confrontation, good or evil? Thunder Tank and the new Mutant Fist Pounder from Rainbow Toys.
Mumm-Ra slice of captured Hook Mountain. Ready for Thunder Tank.
Thunder Tank, the ultimate attack machine. Put Lion-O at the controls. Thunder Tank, instantly armed for battle. Laser guns, stun guns, mechanical jaws.
Release the boulders and crush the Thundercats.
Nothing can stop Thunder Tank.
Thundercats.
Thunder Tank and figures each sold separately, new from LJN.
We're back from break with our next episode, and I forgot to mention, thank you to the Thundercats Wikipedia for the synopsis that we used in a previous episode, and this one, of course. This is episode 47 of season 1, with the original air date of November 26th of 1985. Happy birthday to Ryan. I'm so glad, David, it turned out to be a good one.
I have to say, it was a good day. Little ice cube for you.
This is described angry at the mutants' failure to destroy the Thundercats. Mumm-Ra transforms into a meek Berbil and tricks Snarf into bringing him inside the cat's lair. Mumm-Ra overpowers Panthro, turning him into a zombie/slave. Mumm-Ra enslaves Wily Kit and Wily Cat as they play, and enslaves Chitara as she investigates their cries for terror, and enslaves Tygra.
Cries for terror? You said cries for terror.
Enslaved Chitara.
No, you said cries for terror.
Wait.
Terror. Nobody's crying for terror.
Give us terror! Give us terror! They might be at this one. So, he's back!
Oh, I have notes. I have lots of notes on this one because this one is, again, a bungle. This is a good bungle. So.
Oh my god. So, he's extra cranky, David, but also kind of whispering throughout this episode, Mumm-Ra. He's not screaming, but he's extra cranky. Oh my god, David.
But he's vicious in this one, too. The mutants are like asking, why have you summoned us again? Again. So they already don't want to, again. He tells them basically, and I'm just... I'm teaching you a lesson on your stupidity.
That's I can't get over it. I loved it.
He says he has a lot of choice words for the mutants and visuals in his teaching lesson that he has of them doing all this being ridiculous. And then he says, I am the only one that can take care of the Thundercats. It is me, Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living. And then he starts grandstanding how wonderful he is. So that was I was like, could you imagine being sent over, summoned someplace, and I'm here to teach you a lesson. Your stupidity, your incompetence, you are ridiculous.
He actually calls them, David, some kind of something like Plundarian failures, and he says only one creature can rid Third Earth. Now he's referring to himself as a creature, which will come back later because I thought he was referring to himself again later, but it turned out to be the bat.
Why have you summoned us this time, Mumm-Ra?
I wish to teach you a lesson. Look! A miserable record of consistent failure, mutants. A pathetic exhibition of Plundarian incompetence. A convincing demonstration of calamity, clumsiness, and cowardice. There is only one creature who can rid Third Earth of the Thundercats. Me, Mumm-Ra, ever-living source of evil. And I will do it.
Okay, so he transforms into an innocent Berbil, as he says, and Snarf runs into him. This is how we set this up.
Not really runs into him. He jumps down from a tree branch on top of Snarf.
Do you love this, David? He says, no mention of my head, I noticed, because the Berbil's like, my arm is broken.
My arm. I also want to mention that when Mumm-Ra transforms into his ever-living form, you get one of those really cool close-up, different animations, different, the Japanese animation.
Technique.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm going to turn myself into a meek little Berbil. Like, ha ha ha.
Now, give me the innocent form of a gentle Berbil. A disguise no Thundercat would expect.
Hey, are you okay?
I'm sorry. I fell out of the tree. My arm. There's something wrong with my arm.
No mention of my head, I noticed. I'll get you back to the lair. The Thundercats will soon fix you up.
So he falls on top of Snarf. Well, Snarf is like an older. He's a little cranky sometimes, but he's also like he's true. The Berbil didn't, but that should tell you because I think most Berbils who would do that. Real Berbils would be like, "I'm sorry, I hate you."
Yes. Let me fix you.
My arm is coming off, but I will give you this candy fruit.
So cut to, this is the best. They have him in a bed in Cat's lair in the guest room, and they have his head and arm bandaged with bandages. And
how apropos.
I didn't get this because I figured that they wanted him to rest, and then they said tomorrow they'll take him to the Berbil Village.
Remember, if you need us for anything,
all you have to do is call.
And we'll take you back to the Berbil Village tomorrow.
Thank you, Thundercats.
I'm sorry Lion-O isn't here. He's camping out in the forest. Well, good night.
Goodbye, Snarf.
So Mumm-Ra does not wait. Lion-O, by the way, is off camping. I love this little detail.
I have something for that one too. Wily Kid and Wily Cat say, I said, Lion-O is off camping out with his friend Jimmy.
Oh my god.
Emphasis on friend.
Is Jimmy home?
Yes, but he's taking a shower.
Oh, I see. Did he just take out the trash?
No, that's something he used to do. Now he's taking out me.
Lion-O is meeting his old-time friend in the mountains.
That we've never met before. Brokeback Mountain. Broke Cat Mountain.
Wily Kid, he said he had to take the Sword of Omens with him.
So let's get back. So you have this Berbil like wrapped up so tight like a mummy.
Okay, so we understand that Berbils have feelings, but this is actually acting like the Berbil was injured in the sense of like a skin and bones kind of thing. But I thought it was adorable because I do love Berbils, but it's not. It is Mumm-Ra. So he quickly, like as soon as they closed the light, he did not even wait a minute. He didn't check out the Wi-Fi this time like he did the last time.
Ancient spirits of evil, transform this feeble Berbil into the one creature on third Earth which the Thundercat can throw fears! The Energy Bat!
He says this, and this is what I thought he was going to say.
Why does it always smell like kitty litter in this place?
They've returned of it. He's like, damn.
When you become ever living, you don't lose your sense of smell. Do people not understand this?
That didn't die away. So he all of a sudden says he's going to turn into the one creature on third Earth. And this is when I thought he was going to say himself again. That could be, I was like, wow, Mumm-Ra. But no, it's the one that Panthro is afraid of. He turns into the giant light bat creature, electric bat. But for I got to tell you, David, for someone who's afraid of bats, Panthro did amazing.
Yeah, he did.
Up until the end. Up until the mechanical arm mind whatever melding thing happened. I think this actually is very smart of a plot, this controlling them from the inside. I do love the Thunder Kittens in the next scene camping in a tent.
I put Wily Kid and Wily Cat are pretending to camp out and playing craps.
They were!
I hope they're making some money on their hustle, their side hustle on the street playing craps. Because they're like, if Lion-O can go camping, we can go camping too. It's like a jealousy thing. That also shows their age.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
If Lion-O can go camping, so can we.
Yeah, this is fun.
And much nicer than sleeping in the woods. Your turn.
Hey, I feel lucky tonight.
Panthro, What's wrong with you?
Mumm-Ra!
They should have all been allowed to go camp. Oh no, he needs to be alone. Oh.
Maybe he's communing with Jaga or something.
Sure. We'll say that's what he's doing. He's communing with Jaga. But, okay, the shot of Panthro and then Mumm-Ra in the dark bedroom is terrifying to me. And they had nothing. They didn't even have their pellets. They had nothing.
And then he flips their bed over, too. And they're like, what are you... Like, I know we're up late, Panthro, but you didn't have to confuse us. Throw my bed.
That's what I thought, too. They were going to say, like, oh, man, geez, Panthro, we're sorry. We stayed up and played craps, like you said. But so Bunglers, notice that Mumm-Ra will be in this pose, which is his arms up with his mouth open about 5 different times in this episode. So I think they used the same cell over and over again. He just, every time he captured a Thundercat, he had his hands up with his mouth open, and it was just in this freeze frame.
Maybe Ryan, he's a mouth breather. Sometimes that happens.
You know I am.
I'm a nose breather, sorry.
Well, you're doing the right thing. You're doing
For once, I'm doing the right thing.
So, Cheetara, I love this. She gets up. I gotta say, this must have been happening consecutively at the same time, right? Like, she must have heard the noise, because it wouldn't have taken Cheetara that long to, like, oh, I heard screams.
Did you not want to see her looking into the mirror, waiting for my man?
I thought they were gonna pan and show the mirror, actually.
I would have loved if she had, like, a tray of gold out on her bed, and she's dancing in the mirror, like, where's Ra? Where's Ra? And then she's like, what? What's that noise?
Yeah.
I told you to never come in my room.
I told you to knock before you come in here. So she hears...
Why the kid and cat were actually scared, because they did yell pretty...
I would scream too. That looked terrifying. That was a great shot. Again, these scary at-night episodes. Cheetara comes across, and what did I say? They scream for terror. They all screamed for terror. They all got ensnared with this thing.
What was that? Whatever it was, it came from the Thunder Kitten's room.
Looking for us, Cheetara?
Yes, What was all the commotion? Looks like a tornado hit this place. Oh, I get it. The lightning scared you, right? What is happening here?
You'll soon know everything, Cheetara.
But Snarf jumps out the window when it's his turn.
Oh, so he meets Tygra in the hallway, and he's like, you're going the wrong way, Snarf. Because he said he was going to go check on the Thunder Kittens. And then Tygra gets caught, but the funny part of the whole thing is, I said, Snarf jumped out the window like that dog in Friday the 13th.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought of, David, when the dog saves himself and just runs away from the cabin. He's like, bye!
People, maybe somebody might not know, but the dog in Friday the 13th, the only one was that the only survivor?
It was like, it was part 4.
And the dog actually, we were debating whether the dog got thrown out the window, but the dog just said, oh hell no, I'm not man's best friend anymore.
Because there's no setup to it, Bunglers. If the scene is basically
a dog jumping through a glass window and running away.
Yeah, like it had nothing to, it didn't show like Jason coming and like throwing the dog. It was just Jason's in the house, cut to the dog, it runs. Snarf did it. Snarf ran, and he's looking for the camping. He should follow the trail of, I don't know, Lionel's rendezvous? Oh, this is what happened. Tygra ends up getting, of course, in the Instrum. He gets taken. A very good way of having this, happen. It's creepy. It honestly is. And they find the bandages, like we were mentioning earlier. Like David said, Aquapo.
Aquapo?
It gets worse. What did Aquapo?
Just forget it. Aquapo. That sounds like a Sailor Mercury from Sailor Moon's. Aquapo!
Before the translation. So he does say, I think our Berbil isn't who he says he was before he gets captured. Tygra gets taken.
Tygra, it's me, Snarf!
Oh, sorry, Snarf, but something strange is going on around here. And I thought you might be an uninvited guest. Chitara, Panthro, Wily Kit, and Wily Cat are all missing.
So is our Berbil friend.
I wonder if it's a Berbil at all.
You mean?
Yes, Mumm-Ra can take any form.
I wish Lion-O were here.
And what could he do?
Get out of here, Snarf! I'll hold him off. Warn Lion-O!
Where are you,
Lion-O's like cut to all of a sudden he's packing up his sleeping bag and he's like, thank you, Snarf, for letting me know.
We've talked about this before, and I've said this. Mumm-Ra has to do an elaborate thing. He has to over-elaborate everything. He's got to pretend to be somebody else. He couldn't make himself a tiny fly-sized Mumm-Ra and just fly in and do the same exact thing. He had to be a Berbil and go through all this nonsense. He loves doing drag and transforming.
There is a huge failed opportunity here to be Ro-Bear Berbil instead of a random Berbil.
This is what I'm telling you. He really doesn't want to get rid of the Thundercats because it gives his life some meaning. He has to play with them. He has to do these elaborate things. He could have turned invisible.
You're right. He could have done anything.
He could actually just transport.
Yeah, in a bubble.
Or just like the Power Rangers, just tap the and appear right in Chitara's bedroom and put the thing right on her bracelet while she's sleeping.
Oh, you could have just made it gold and have her clip it on herself.
Put it on anyway.
Speaking of Chitara's bedroom, this was the picture that Leah sent us months ago.
I love
where
it.
Lion-O is searching, I guess. They can't find the Thundercats when they get back, Snarf and Lion-O, so they must be going through each room. They split up, by the way, stupidly, Lion-O. Why did you do this? And I'll get into that in our Bunglers segment.
Nobody's here either. That makes all the bed chambers empty.
Don't worry, we'll find them.
I sure hope when we do, we don't find them with glowing red eyes.
We'd better split up. We'll make better time that way. You check the sword chamber, and I'll check the control room. We'll meet back at the hangar in 30 minutes. And shout if you find anything.
You can bet on that, Lion-O. I'll shout.
But he goes through Chitara's closet, and like Leah said, she wears the same thing. She has leotards, boots, and capes.
Now, I said, why does Lion-O have to go through Chitara's closet? And he took an awfully long time looking in there. It's small. It's a small little closet. He was like,
Like you said, no one's allowed in Chitara's room. And the mirror was uncovered, so you leave for your imagination. In the Instrum, Snarf gets rabies because they had to split up, even though Lion-O's going through each room in the cat's lair.
Oh, hi, Snarf. I guess you didn't find them either.
Oh, I found them all right. And we'll all do Mumm-Ra's bidding.
Snarf, no!
And then, my God, Lion-O runs up that hill. He escapes the cat's lair and runs, and I go, first I said, is he going to the Black Pyramid? No, he was just getting clear out of there. So we have to get to this big battle when he actually confronts Mumm-Ra. He says, that piece of tin won't harm me? Mumm-Ra learns from his mistakes.
That piece of tin won't harm me!
But the horror of your own reflection will!
Unlike those miserable mutants, Lion-O, I learn from my mistakes. There is no reflection. Nothing can save you.
Learn from this. When Tyra Banks told that a contestant on America's Top Model, when my mother yells at me like this, it's because she loves me. Learn from this.
And then that's so true. Yeah, Mumm-Ra puts on his theater glasses.
I wrote this. Lionel says, no, but your own reflection. He goes, there is going to be no more reflection. on my knockoff Versace glasses that I bought at the flea market, or maybe it was the bodega, and I cannot see my own reflection anymore. I paid extra for the blue block and the glare reflection. Claire.
He really did. Honestly, though, that was the best for me. Because they were really fancy, too. They were fancy glasses.
They looked like they were telescoping a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen when he told me.
What was it, like a what do they call it, steampunk?
Steampunk, 1,000%, David, yes. He gets attacked, the Thundercats are all shooting red lasers from their eyes and doing the smile thing. They're like, they did this creepy smile, did you notice that, all of them? They were like, because they were all under Mumm-Ra's control. He does Thundercats Ho, which I figured was going to break the spell too, David. I'm sure you thought.
Done it first. I would have done that from the beginning.
In the field that he ran to.
Before I even went into Cat's Lair, which, by the way, I love always seeing Cat's Lair. It's almost like for us in the States, it's like the Capitol building or something. It's like very grand inside, like this very cathedral type looking thing.
And the Berbils, by the way, had to build all that.
Poor Berbils.
When they come to, this scene is epic. I think this is going to be one of my favorite scenes ever, David. Mark it down in the Radical Retro. Cheetara Tanya Harding's Mumm-Ra with her staff, right? He goes down, and then they hold him down.
Hold him down.
The Thunder Kittens hold his arm and they rip his mask off, and they're all gathered around ripping. This is when David would say, kill him.
Oh my god. You know what? Let me read you my note. Now, you know what I'm going to say. I would have cut Mumm-Ra's head off right then and there and said, you can't return to the pyramid. You can't recharge. Bye, boo.
No, what did they do? They rip his glasses off.
I would have done that. I would have lopped his head off, and it would have been like
you ain't seeing your reflection now.
It would have been Harry Potter, the Horcrux or whatever it is, when they put pieces of Mumm-Ra everywhere. I would have put this one in Cat's Lair under cement, this one in an electric thing. I would have had what's her name from space.
Oh, Mandora.
Mandora, take part of this body over here
on the Great Penal Planet.
Wouldn't that be great?
That's what has stopped everything. But know what happens? Lion-O goes, let him go. He's beaten. And I think for Mumm-Ra, that would sting him the most, because he did say,
you want to see me crawl, Lion-O? You are degraded now, Mumm-Ra.
The party's over, Mumm-Ra.
Back, slaves! Obey me, Thundercats!
Let him go. He's beaten.
This is not a failure, Thundercats. Merely a setback. And each time we meet, I learn more. One day, I'll prevail.
Thundercats!
He's like, I learned from my mistakes. This was his theme today, learn from your mistakes.
Yeah,
but
he said at the very end, this is not a loss, it is just a setback. And every time we meet, I learn more about you. And I said, every time we meet Mumm-Ra, I learn more about you too. That's would have been my answer, because I would have been sassy comeback.
We know you, Mumm-Ra. We know the gig is
There's
up.
always this general theme with Mumm-Ra that he has unlimited time and regeneration, so he doesn't really phase him. It's a thorn in his side, but I'm sorry. If the Thundercats were not on Third Earth, what would he be doing? Sleeping in a crypt continuously and never wake up? I would want to,
play a little,
I
frolic.
want to go out and have a good time. Maybe dip my fingers in the pool of destruction, or
Oh my God, could he go through the pool of time? The waters.
could you imagine if he did do that and he became like hot like Wizra, but evil?
Things would change then. Things would change a little on Third Earth here.
No, because he'd still be a jerk.
He'd still be Mumm-Ra,
They
cranky
go with the
Mumm-Ra.
bad boy. They never change.
But honestly, David, his drag would look so much more fabulous. He would be able to get flawless skin when he did his drag.
Oh, wait a minute, Ryan. What would you rather be, Mumm-Ra and look like a bag of bones all the time, like Nora Jones? I'll be a bag of bones.
But I'll be a bag of bones.
Remember I described her as that? I couldn't think of her name like years ago. And I'm like, bag of bones. And you're like, Nora Jones.
I've been down the road alone. My crypt is drenched in wine. You'll be on my mind forever. Or would you want to be trapped in the netherworld or whatever with Wizra looking hot as ever?
Oh, I guess Wizra, because Mumm-Ra's chained to the pyramid anyway, basically. He can't go too far.
Slave for you, I can't deny it. I'm not trying to hide it, baby. Yeah,
The totems are going up and down, the ancient spirits.
Okay, we're off the deep end.
I wish he danced for the deads for me. That's what they say for him. Chitara, the dramatics. Anyone else would have destroyed us, Lionel.
No.
What?
No.
What?
Just to get a bracelet off?
That's what I'm saying. You did good, Lionel. We're so lucky. Anyone would have destroyed us.
You're a true friend, Lionel.
You helped us when anyone else would have destroyed us.
Sometimes it's these little offbeat comments that we always remember, like when Panthro during the trials was like, I didn't think he'd make it anyway against Wild Kid and Wily Cat, or like, she's even looks older, or anybody else would have just destroyed us over putting on a power bracelet that controls us. No. Or, what did he say? Thundercats! It's all these, moments that you're like, this is a little off character, or a little wow, really? This is how they think? Or are they having a bad day?
No, or it shows that what does Lionel do when when not on camera? Anyone else would have destroyed us, Tygra. You know how he is.
He's got he's got that mean streak in him. He's got eyes like a gypsy. He's got that mean streak in him, Tygra. I've always told you that. Telling me he didn't grow up, he didn't have a childhood like I took it from him. He was in a capsule.
He looks at me. He blames me.
He blames me. Told me I even look older. I'll show him older. I'm gonna trip him with this stick.
Oh my God. This is what we need to do for our 100th episode, a dramatic reading of...
We should. Well, we have a lot of ideas, remember?
That's true. We have actually a lot of bonus ideas. So, at the end of this, like you noted that one time that Snarf's eyes glowed when he got the Thundercats hoe, which broke the spell, it didn't happen this time, clearly. Because when they go back, zombie Snarf is still ready to kill Lionel.
Hey, I heard. With friends like that, who needs enemies? Oh, what the heck? Desperate times need desperate remedies, I guess.
Thunder, 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 thundercats.
Lion out.
Now, if you were Mumm-Ra, why would you send Snarf in to get Lion-O? I know it seems because he seems like he's innocent or whatever. Wouldn't you have just had Snarf? I would have said, listen here, Snarf, you better play it cool. Do exactly what Mumm-Ra says. You go right up to him and just put that bracelet right on his ankle. Don't even say anything. Don't just come in like you're the mermaid, the vampire mermaid from the episode before. Just go in nice and cool. Then he would have had all of them.
He would have had all of them, actually. Yeah, he went in going, Mumm-Ra, Mumm-Ra. Well, okay, so let's get into our biggest bungler.
You bungler! Once again, you have failed.
You bungled it!
Jumping back to our first episode, Turmagar the Tuska. David, I'm just going to put it out there. I said that Tygra was the biggest bungler because, honestly, no one really did anything that was offbeat. He's just more susceptible. So I love you, Tygra. I know you have the problem. This is some issue you're working through. But if anyone was going to be taken over, controlled, it was Tygra. It was Tygra.
I have a different view.
Oh, wonderful.
I have a totally different view here. I'm going to put some stuff out here. Now, considering our current, if I'm judging it by current standards, okay? Not the 80s, but today. Panthro bungled the fact that he said a derogatory thing against the Gumplin.
Oh, yeah, dumping.
Because it was insulting.
Yeah, it was.
It was like diminishing this creature that obviously has feelings and emotions and whatever. So I would say he bungled that because that would not be nice. And you want to be accepted as a panther man.
You want to be accepted as a cat man.
I'm going to say that. I'm half kidding with this, obviously. But yes, that was something that was a bungle of words, I would say. Because you shouldn't.
Yes.
If you don't understand something, don't put it down or diminish it or call it an it. So that would be one thing as a bungle by today's standards. Obviously, Tygra has this susceptibility, so it's really not a bungle in the sense that's who he is. But maybe he should work on this with a therapist.
Jaga spirit should be working for free.
So that's a bungle. I'm just gonna say it. My girl, I love my Chitara, but she bungled. She could have ran up to that mermaid and slapped her with a stick, and they would have been on their way instead of Tygra. I would have been like, I would have thrown that stick like a javelin and I would have been eating mermaid over a campfire.
You know, when Lionel went camping next week.
Remember to bring the extra mermaid meat from last episode.
Along with your candy meat, your jerky mermaid.
I'm going to say those are the bungles for me. Obviously, I'm going to say that who did not bungle were Tuska Warriors did not bungle because they stood their ground and hopefully was able to hold back this thing long enough for the Thundercats to come. So they did not bungle. I'm going to say a not bungle on them.
I just realized Tuska Warriors sound like Tusken Raiders from Star Wars.
Or tusks. Just tusks. Yeah. Walrus tusks. So that's just my thing. I don't know.
Well, the Mumm-Ra Berbil episode, I am going Lion-O only because he had to make Snarf and him split up only for him to go to the sword room, which made no sense when he could have just gone to the room that he did, the control room, and look at all the cameras at once.
Which he did,
and left Snarf to be controlled by Mumm-Ra.
I'm going to disagree with you because this also proves to you that Lion-O believes Snarf is capable of taking care of himself. He is an equal and he is a Thundercat. Because he would have said Chitara. He would have said, grab a stick, girl, and go. Tygra, go whip yourself over there. Whip yourself and try to find somebody. So I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say it's Mumm-Ra. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Mumm-Ra took the time to get the mutants out of their beds in the middle of the night to call them stupid. He's going to teach them a lesson. He had to eat crow. You know the expression, you got to eat crow? He had to eat crow. Maybe he did eat crows. I don't know. But he had to. Now, I would have been, if I was the mutants, I would have said, oh, it's daybreak. You must have lost yet again. You must have lost yet again, Mumm-Ra. So he's the biggest bungler because he always grandstands and thinks that he has the ability when he clearly doesn't. The only thing that Mumm-Ra has on his side is obviously the power, regeneration and power, is time. Because he gets a chance over and over again. Because if this was a normal foe, either they would be defeated, locked up, in other circumstances, die, fall in a volcano, or God only knows, they would have, or destroyed. The only thing he has is this regeneration power and having power, obviously, knowledge, knowledge, but time. So he is the biggest bungler because how dare you talk about the mutants who don't have the same abilities as you do? Well, I'm really on today.
That was good. That was good. Usually we can't even come up with one.
He's the biggest bungler. And I'm sorry, Cheetara, you know I love you. Lynn Lipton, you know I love you, Cheetara. You're my favorite. You're the most vivacious and powerful and warrior out of the whole group.
She needs a flaw once in a while, right? She can't always be perfect.
She's flawless, but she bungled that. I really want to know. No, I want to know. I'm putting this out there for our bunglers, and it's particularly Mitesh now because this is one of his faves. Let me know what you think about what we just said.
I love that. And to your point earlier, do you think the mutants were looking at Castle Plundar and noticed Mumm-Ra flying back to the pyramid? Like how he flies upward into the sky. He gets thrown back when he sees his reflection. Oh, there he went. And he had the theater glasses on and everything.
Maybe they have a camera, Cat's Lair, like Cat's Lair has a camera at Castle Plundar. Maybe they're like, so good, you're so good, Mumm-Ra. Yeah.
That was a blast, Bunglers. I hope you had a good time like we did with these 2 episodes. You can always reach David at Universal Appeal 2020, all one word, on Instagram, and the Radical Retro Rewind Podcast, also one word, on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitter.
Red Circle.
Red Circle is our home. Our home, where you might hear some wonderful commercials during this episode. And then also...
Well, the cats gotta eat too, you know.
Yes, they do. They do.
Although I don't think we got anything yet.
No, I don't think we did either. And also a review would be wonderful if you are on Apple, if you could rate us on Spotify, whatever your place of choice is, if you can
Whatever
give us a
platform
rate.
you're on.
Yeah.
Tell your grandmother, even if she doesn't listen, to friend us. Hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husbands, but make sure they subscribe to the podcast.
Everyone's getting Wizras today.
And
You get a Wizra.
If you're Team Selena, then you also should join the podcast. And if you're Team Bieber, you could do it too.
You're taking everyone. Team Edward, Team Jacob. He's going everywhere. Thank you again. We will be back with double episodes the last Friday of next month. We hope you stay well until then. And as always, David,
Who you calling a hoe? I said, who you calling a hoe?